Alright people, let's go ahead and talk about the remake of EarthBound 64, the fan remake of EarthBound 64. This is an update video. If you haven't seen my first video, I strongly recommend it. It was in a very early state, and it still is, but there are some major improvements. So let's go ahead and take a look. We're going to start off in Tazmilly Village. Now, one of the first things you're going to notice is that the model for Flint is a lot more fleshed out. He really didn't have a face before. His walking animation was a little bit funky. Overall, it is vastly improved. Now, he does sort of have a strange kind of walk where his almost seems like his back is arched forward and his arms and legs are real stiff, but it's still an improvement from what we got last time, at least in terms of the detail of the model anyways. I look forward to seeing what they continue to do with this Flint model in the future. Now, Tazmilly Village has a bunch of NPC placeholders that are headless, so that's good, but there are a couple, or one individual that isn't headless, two people actually, that we'll be able to talk to. As you can see here, the camera zooms in and does a nice little motion when you talk to an NPC, which it did not do before. The camera was much more rigid last time around in the last playable build. Now again, this is to mimic the Space World demo, so they're trying to give a little taste of a bunch of different areas from the would-be EarthBound 64. It's a little bit funky, as you can see here. I was jumping instead of talking. There is seemingly one action button, which is the space bar. So you either jump, or if you're close enough to an individual, like in front of them, you will talk to them. Or you'll just jump around like a dummy. I enjoy this NPC's cold, dead eyes. Camera's a little wonky here when you walk in. I'm sure that'll be figured out, but I'm sure you all recognize this area from the early screenshots. One thing to note is that if you want to go back to Tazmilly Village, if you enter any of these other areas, you can go to a present and it will take you back. The village is truly a hub area. As we'll see, you can leave in most directions to check out other areas that they are working on, except for this direction.
Stop! You violated the law. Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence. Your stolen goods are now forfeit.
I like how it locks you into this conversation just so the pig mask can yell at you. As you can see, we have a little pork bean segment here. It's actually pretty cool. Movement looks good, kind of similar to how it did in some of the early screenshots. Although that control is pretty slippery. As you can see, it took me forever to line myself up to go up a ramp. All right, let's go ahead and venture to another area. Now here, Flint is on foot, and we're gonna do some battling against the Supreme Tank Z, which was formerly known as the Pig Z in, I think, what was seemingly an earlier mistranslation of the enemy's name. But I love the little head bopping animation here. It's so cool. Now, I love what they're doing with the battle screens here. You can't tell because I didn't end up recording my cursor, but I'm selecting what I want with my mouse and then clicking to actually select. Not all of these magic options have an animation, but the thunder does, so I tend to rely on it a little bit more. Love the background, love the animation of the enemy. They did an excellent job here. It's especially a big upgrade from the last build, because in the last build, there was a lot less animation, and seemingly none of the actual options worked. Now they do. Wandering out of the village once again, we have a little X in the road here and a couple of different options of where we can go. Now, to the left here, the NPC is going to tell me that I'm going to see a scene with a dog that will not initially make sense, but it'll make sense later. I've gone here multiple times and I've never seen a dog running. I've never seen a dog in this area whatsoever, so I was kind of confused. Am I supposed to trigger the dog? I'm not quite sure what's going on here. Alas, as far as I know currently, this area is unfortunately dogless, which is a huge shame. This is kind of nice here because when Flint gets into a corner and near a wall, you actually get a pretty good look at his face, which is again a lot more detailed and like less blurry than it was in the previous build. Off to the area opposite of the absent dog. My god, this hop is just so strange. So weird, but I assume it'll be kind of cleaned up a little bit. Here we have an example of a dungeon. It is very, very early though. One nice thing here is that as you're hopping your way across the mushrooms, a very Mario-like jump, I might add, if you miss your jump, you will actually respawn at the beginning of the jumping section. But if you fall off anywhere else in the dungeon, you will simply need to reset your game. Let's hop our way to the forest where we have more enemies to fight and a pipeline being built. Again, the battles aren't 100% there yet, but they are way more interactive than they were before and actually feel pretty good to play. Really looking forward to where they will be able to take the mechanics. Wandering around these areas is such a treat. I just like pretending that I'm playing the real thing, even though obviously it is a long way from actually being there, a long way from being fully polished, etc. But this is the closest thing we've gotten to actually playing EarthBound 64, so I very much appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and put a bunch of links in the description below where you can check out the project, including their Discord and their Twitter. And of course, if you are new to the channel and want to see more content like this, please feel free to subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff. And I hope to see you all next time. Thank you again for watching.